afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
Oh, and everybody's got a smile. Yes, I'm loving that. Oh, even Mike. Mike, that was not a smile. That wasn't a smile, but we'll take that. So we're gonna start our chairs meeting and our agenda today. We're gonna start with our committee reports. Finance, Councilmember Evans. Uh-oh. Okay. Then we'll move to MBD. Councilmember Gruber.
Oh, that'd be Patterson. All right, so
well, I'm sorry, I said Gruber. Yeah, I do mess that up every time. And I see that Councilmember Evans is back. So let's start with finance.
Okay.
Councilmember Evans. Oh, you're muted. All right, so we will go to NBD, Councilmember Patterson.
All right, so good afternoon, good people. You guys have all had a chance to read everything. I think we've got the answers from agenda review for the questions that folks asked.
Can't hear you.
I said everybody's had a chance to read everything, so you've got that. We've got some housing development projects going on, some zoning realignments that are going on. Mary, some of this stuff is in your district. Is there anything you got an issue or concern with?
No.
Okay, so that's it.
Can I ask a question, please?
Absolutely.
Sure.
And it's actually not an NBD related question, but I have to admit that because of all the stuff that was going on last week, I was not in agenda review, and I failed to submit my questions. So BJ, is there still an opportunity to submit a couple questions, or do I wait until the committee? None of them are huge earth-shattering questions. They're just some clarification I'd like.
You can submit them and I'll share them with the administration. I don't know if they'll have a chance to get back to you before the committee, but that way they would at least be prepared to answer them at committee meeting if needed.
Okay, thank you.
So
can you hear me okay?
Yes.
We can now, yes.
All right.
So unless anybody else has any other questions for NBD, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. So we will go back to Councilmember Evans, and he is here and he can hear us and we can hear him.
All right, thank you. Sorry for that technical difficulty. There are only two pieces of legislation that are before you as it relates to finance. Item one is the cancellation of a refund erroneous testing charges. As you know, that is a standard item that comes every single month. And the second one is a piece of legislation related to cipher works and relates to training for employees. Those are the two key pieces of legislation that we have this month. The other thing I'll mention is that I know that in the past we talked about setting up the 3-on-3 district. So I spoke to the folks over there. So I'm going to be working on setting that up for October. There are a lot of important issues that we need to dialogue with them about. So it's important that we have that sooner rather than later. They're anxious also for the conversation. So more to come on that. I know we attempted to set one up last year. We had one, so we will be working to set that up in the next week or two.
Got a question about
Councilmember Patterson noted that there are three pieces of legislation: the expert witness legislation. That was a later item, I guess.
Oh, right. Right. Yeah, there was the. I'm sorry. I'm looking at my booklet. I didn't put that piece in my booklet yet. Yeah, there is the third piece, the expert witness that came as a tweener.
Yeah. Okay. Councilmember Harris.
Relating to the 3-on-3, I'd just like to know who's sitting on the 3-on-3 on the city of Rochester's school district side as well as the county side.
The county I don't know. On the city side, originally the council president had appointed Councilmember Gruber as well as Vice President Lightfoot and myself. On the school district side, it's the board president Van White. It's their chair of community intergovernmental relations committee, Amy Malloy, and then their chair of finance, Beatrice LeBron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I just
Thank
wanted to mention that I have interest in being on that committee if anybody is interested in stepping back if they had that desire.
And let me just say, with the 3-on-3s, we'll make sure that we definitely circulate minutes. And the other thing that we've done in the past is we have had, joint school district council meetings where it was all members, and we will do that when we have bigger, as we have big issues to discuss. But for the sake of being able to at least have regular ongoing dialogue, that's the reason why it's 3-on-3. But we will. We'll do that. But Mary, I'm sure the other two folks have heard your desire, and you can take that up with them and the council president.
Thank you, Councilmember Evans. So we will now go to PPW Councilmember Gruber.
Good afternoon, everyone. There's actually only two pieces of legislation in the PPW committee. One of them is related to West Main Street planning and placemaking project, which is very much tied into the comprehensive plan and tied into some of the work being done on East Main Street. It's a small amount of money that I think $15,000 we're being asked to complete the project. Genesee Transportation Council, our metropolitan planning organization, is the part of it because it's dollars funneled down from the federal government. So it's very exciting. I'll be asking the commissioner to provide some more detail on what the placemaking plan is going to entail. But that's exciting. And the other piece is just related to snow removal. So definitely the smallest PPW packet of legislation I've experienced
Ever.
in my time as committee chair. The one other thing that I do want to add is that, and I know that there's been a number of council members that have spoken about this, but last month in PPWs, where the East Main Street Southwest Neighborhood Service Center and Section Office came out of. And all I can say about that at this point is that I'm going to sound like George W. Bush here for a second, so I apologize. But if I knew then what I knew now, things would be. He's the one who said that. Anyone back me up on that?
1,000 points of light. What did you say?
Wasn't W the one who taught war in Iraq
Doesn't
stuff?
matter.
Doesn't matter. The point is, on August 18th, when we voted for this, there was a very critical piece of information being missed about things going on in our police department. And I think there's been a major breach of trust. And so council president and I are exploring what some of the opportunities are to be able to pull that legislation back and hold it. The question still begins to be what kind of mechanism can we use to do so? And BJ is leading that charge right now. So there'll certainly be an opportunity for folks to weigh in. I know it's complicated because again, as we talked about last month, this is not a new project. It was 5 years in the making. So clearly we need to have some real dialogue and discussion about what it means. But I personally feel as though as there is been a breach of trust right now, in my opinion, we need to push pause on bonding on that project and building that project. So I just wanted to give that update.
Yeah, I'd like to say something. I wholeheartedly endorse that. I've been doing some research, and if we just wanted to take it back, rescind would be the way to go. And I would love to be the one to be able to introduce that motion. In terms of trust, I would also like to say, I found out that Councilmember Gruber and the president were discussing taking back the legislation when I mentioned to you that I was exploring this on my own, and that I did in our last caucus meeting ask to be included in these discussions. So I just want to go on record that I would like to be a part of taking back this legislation.
This is the discussion, Mary. You are.
No, I understand, but you just mentioned that you and Council President and BJ were working on this. But I wanted to record that this is something that I wanted rescinded since last month. And I want to be a part of these conversations and have ideas about how we should go about it.
Okay, a part of what the work that we're doing is getting legal counsel. So I think that's a little out of each of our bailiwick, and we will pursue that and talk in greater detail about the process going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it, Councilmember Gruber?
Indeed, thank you.
Vice President Lightfoot, Public Safety, Youth and Recreation Committee report, please, or brief.
Some blessings, family. Greetings. Good to see all of your lovely faces this afternoon. For the Public Safety, Youth and Recreation Committee, I'm recommending today that I will be holding items 340, 341, 342. I will allow 343 and 344 to go forward. But I am want to also express my sentiments with everything that's going on right now. I do agree with a pause. And so myself personally, I'm holding these items 340, 341, and 342.
What are those?
These items are all related to the police department.
Right.
340 is appropriating funds for compliance checks of registered sex offenders. 341 is authorize the receipt and use of grants for New York State Governor Traffic Safety Committee for 2 safety programs. 342 is authorize a mandatory agreement for the COPS Community Police and Development Micro Grant Program, all of which whom I believe have overtime and all of which I want to hold this particular month. I would like to see 343 go forward for discussion and 344.
Okay, you were saying that 340 is the one related to checks on sex offenders?
Appropriating funds for compliance checks for registered sex offenders. Yes.
You wouldn't, I understand the sentiment, but shouldn't we have the police check on the sex offenders?
I think he's no. Okay.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
I mean, I get it.
I told you. I told you what I want to do.
Okay, no,
I don't. There's no. So, is there any other discussion from any other members?
If they're
Is
held,
there any other discussions from any other? From my understanding, police are already checking on sex offenders.
Yeah, and I guess I might like to add, as we're thinking about reimagining the role for police, is this something that we need an armed man to respond to, or can we have some other way that doesn't cost, you know, someone's salary who's getting paid $100,000 a year to do these checks?
I'm just saying, in lieu of everything that's going on right now, that I think that it's appropriate to hold on these items, especially since we have very controversial times happening right now. We have the race committee that has made a recommitment to continue their work at looking at policing and reimagining that. A recommitment that I've been a part of over the weekend and throughout the last couple of days. Okay, and so there's been a recommitment by the mayor as well as the county executive and the race commission to expedite the commitment, as well as instead of 6 months, they're looking at doing some things very rapidly here. And so I think until we can have some further discussion on what that reimagining looks like, that it is my privy to hold these items this particular month, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yep, fair enough.
Okay. All right. Does that conclude your report, Vice President Lightfoot?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next item on our agenda is the next year's council calendar, and that's just a note that we'll be submitting legislation. You've all basically signed off that you're okay with that, or that it's, you know, there's no significant conflicts. So we'll be submitting that legislation either this round or next, right?
Correct. We'll either send this as part of as a tweener, or maybe more likely it'll be with next month's packet. And I'll make sure to send a memo around just so everyone has all of those dates again confirmed. I know Councilmember Lupien requested I did that, so I will make sure I get that done.
Okay. And the next item we've stated that we've committed to supporting the increase of funds to support mental health, but we don't have a a framework for that. Now, it occurs to me, while we need to sort of want to put together some kind of framework or proposal for proposed legislation, I'm concerned, though, that we don't run in conflict with the work that's coming out of RAISE. So any ideas about how to make that happen? Because I was prepared to ask council members Lupien and Harris to sort of lead the work on identifying how we wanted to put forth that proposal, but at the same time, that may conflict with or not work in accordance with what's coming out of RAISE. Vice President Lightfoot.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam President. I'll just give you some updated information about RAISE and the work. So your sentiments are right on point. However, the way that it was described by the county executive and by the mayor is that there are some things that both of them can do very immediately. And I think FIT and I think FACET, some of our programs that we have currently that have been existing that may need some restructuring, if you will. I think there are some things, there's some low-hanging fruit things that even RAISE admits that they can do. So that's what you see happening, those conversations. So I think you should continue in that direction as long as there's alignment, which is why some of us, myself and Mitch Gruber, are on the committee. So we can make sure that there's alignment. And what we have commitment from through the county executive and the mayor is that these short-term shifts, if you will, of current existing services are not necessarily permanent and in stone. So they made a commitment that if RAISE, for instance, comes back and says, okay, FIT may need whatever, and they said they have no problem with shifting and pivoting to what's necessary, but there's some things that they can do immediately. There's some immediate needs that our community has, like, right, we just had 2 other homicides in our city, right? And there's some needs that can happen immediately. There's some things that that even our Baker Tilly report has told us that we could do and we need to shift to. So, so the county executives having conversations with this FIT team, and they've identified some things that they don't need a report to do, that they know that they can do and it would make a difference. And so I would say continually go into that direction that you were going in. Let's continue to update. And as those of us who are on the committee can continually update, we maybe even add that to our updates that we have in these chairs meetings. We can have that as an update, so we make sure we continue to have an alignment. And I think ultimately we're heading down 2 parallel roads that are going the same way. Not like they're going 2 separate ways. They're going to end up aligning at some point, just so that we don't miss current opportunities that both county executive and the mayor have identified now.
I would also add, Council President, that I'm talking with Dr. Archie and the administration at the request of council to try to set up a work session with the heads of the Race Commission just to discuss the efforts of the committee sometime this month. And I have, I did see I have a message from Dr. Archie in my email from yesterday or today that I have to get back to him on. So I'll follow up with you about getting that scheduled as a work session this month. And we could also get some additional information there that we could ask questions.
I just want to add too, yesterday. So yesterday we had a meeting of the Race Commission that Willie and I were both on, and the county executive was talking very explicitly, FIT as starting in June, I've been talking, and I know Mary has too, and probably some others been talking to Kim Butler over at FIT. And I think it's a great program, but it's not necessarily, it as it exists right now is not necessarily, it's not a panacea. We need to understand that too. So I think that's what Willie's talking about with FIT and FACET and what else comes out of the dollars that the county spends on mental health. So I understand that County Executive Bello, I believe tomorrow, is scheduled to have a meeting. Mary, I think I took away that you're going to be there. Is that correct?
Yeah. So yeah, it's 9:30, and if Lachey's, I think if we're going to go in this direction, it makes sense for you to be there. And really,
sorry, Mary, just let me just finish one. I know that it's the commissioners who are leading the mental health work group for race are supposed to be there too. So I think
I was just going to ask that.
It may help if either Willie or myself are available as well, not necessarily because of our interest in trying to make too many cooks in the kitchen, but just trying to make sure there's a really clear channel of communication between what's happening with the race commission, what's happening with city council. I think that's the whole point of having, you know, 2 members of council on that commission. So I think that meeting tomorrow should really be probably the next step towards what you're asking for, Loretta. And I'm glad to know Mary's going to be there, whether it's Lachey, Willie, myself. I do think that we should have clear communication between the 2 paths.
Mary, would you talk in more detail about tomorrow's meeting that your principal?
Yeah, so, you know, there's a meeting in the morning with county folks and law enforcement. And I think that may identify some questions that we need answered. And Mitch is definitely, you know, on the money. You know, that what we have here, we have pieces to the puzzle, but whether or not they fit for what we're trying to, no pun intended, what we're trying to accomplish, you know, which I think is to the timing of the mental health response to be such that in a situation like Daniel Prude, they would have been able to intervene before it got escalated. And FIT right now is staged after the police respond. So, you know, if there's a threat of a mental health arrest, you know, they're not the ones that respond. And so there's other pieces like the UVAR team. And then there's also the question of where do they get taken if they do have to be mental health arrested? Because right now the only path is the jail and the hospital. And so we have, you know, behavioral health center at St. Mary's, you know, so we have these pieces and it's just kind of putting them together. So the event tonight, there's a community forum for the first hour, kind of discussing.
Is it tonight or tomorrow night?
I'm sorry, tomorrow night.
Okay.
Tomorrow night at 6. So 6 to 7 is the community portion, and that's being hosted by community groups, kind of introducing the idea to the community, you know, not that it hasn't been already, but about what alternate mental health response would look like. And it has some experts from around the country, as well as the author, Alex Vitale. And then the second hour is an in-depth policy Q&A, so that, you know, hopefully some of the questions that we generate in the morning, we can dig into with, you know, experts and, you know, Cahoots and other places in the country that are piloting this to see what it actually looks like on the ground.
Vice President Lightfoot.
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. I just want to add for also consideration and for information, because FACET was something I discovered through the work with the Gun Violence Coalition. I don't think anybody, very few of us even knew about FACET and the work that they do, and they've been around for decades. So it speaks a couple of things. You can look at that as a positive or a negative, because we should know about that, right? And they should be making an impact such that the community even speaks of them, such, right? So we see opportunity there. Even think we know that sometimes that some things may be restructured. But I would offer this and to look at as we look at legislation going forward. FACET does respond to those type of calls, or they're supposed to, but they get called by RPD. And see, that's the point. Also, they're outfitted at the public safety building, which is another thing that, you know, understand what I'm saying? So there's some things that we potentially, there's some low-hanging fruit things that we could change. But again, the mayor and the county executive made a recommitment that if this group comes up with a plan and they can have, they talked about, we have different agreements, shared agreements that we have with county and city, that this may be an opportunity to have a shared mental health agreement. So we're looking, you know, those are things, but I wouldn't, but they urged us not to stop in some of those moves that where we were moving, because we could potentially be helping some clients along the way.
Okay.
I'd like to attend that meeting tomorrow morning if you can give me the information or someone can share that with me. I'm happy to do that.
Okay. All right. So in speaking with BJ about our upcoming council meeting and our speak to council and all of that, and recognizing that, Mary, you had requested a public forum a few days ago. What we're trying to do is, my concern is that with doing speak to council in the format that we normally do, we would expect to have a lot of comments about the fruit situation and the protests and all of that. And people want to talk. They want to be heard. However, we still have council business to handle. So I'm thinking if there's a way to handle both of those desired goals by having a forum on Monday. Now, maybe we still will get a lot of speak to council on Tuesday. And in that case, though, I think we would put it at the end of our regular, we do the A list and then the B list. And then if we needed to, we'd break and then do the balance of the B list at upon completion of council regular agenda. But if we did the public forum, the speak to council kind of thing on Monday, then that would allow a much longer time and for people to be heard. So tell me what your thoughts are about that approach.
I think that the Monday would be great. Just speaking from somebody who's, had to sign up to speak to council. It's a little unnerving to keep track of the list as it's moving and then make sure that, then you're cut off and then you have to wait for the whole council meeting to come back. So I think it would be a more seamless experience for the community to have Monday, just know that you'll be able to speak at some point during the hearing. That's my thoughts.
Anybody else?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay. All right.
And
Jose?
are we talking about doing exclusively Zoom, I presume?
Yes.
Okay. I think I just think it's just not a good format, but it's all we got.
Okay.
So would we be starting at like 4 or 5 and going, you sign up, you come through and we go till you're done, till nobody wants to talk anymore? Is that what we're looking to do?
Well, we've not plumbed out all of the details, but I don't know, maybe a 5 o'clock start or something.
I just looked. Willie, Willie, is there still a race commission meeting that night? I believe Monday at 5 o'clock. There's a planned commission meeting.
Yeah, I believe you're correct.
I
We
mean,
can always do it the Wednesday after council meeting. I mean, I get it. You want to get it in before the council meeting, but at some point in time, we just need to leave room for folks to talk, and we need to hear them and just sit there and let them say what they got to say. And whenever we do it is when we do it, but the sooner the better.
that's not to say Willie and I can't excuse ourselves from the race commission meeting on Monday. I mean, if that's, I think we can, well, maybe you could call Mayor Johnson and talk to him about that, because if I do think there's a utility in having this prior to the council meeting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that our presence on Monday for this particular meeting is like absolutely mandatory, but maybe a conversation with Bill will help.
Is the raise meetings are public?
So some of them, I think some of them are, and it depends if it's the work group or if it's the meeting of the whole. I think this one would be a public one, but again, I think we'd have to check in with Bill about that, and Arlene and Dr. Shafiq as well.
Because
it's probably vitally important that you guys be at that meeting. So if we adjust around your availability, I don't see it as a problem.
We could be at both. If that meeting is in person, which they normally are, we could Zoom in, from our phones, and just our faces won't be there, but we could still, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I mean, I think on some level, if y'all are there, y'all should be there. And if we need to reschedule this meeting, instead of a Monday, it's a Wednesday, or it's a whatever, then it's a whatever. But our responsibility to hear the public is our responsibility to hear the public. Y'all
I'll speak from
to
experience.
attend that meeting. It's your responsibility to attend that meeting. We can work that around.
I'm fine with Wednesday. I'm fine with doing Wednesday if that's the wisdom of the group.
What time is the meeting that you that Willie and Mitch have to attend on Monday? What time is that meeting?
It's scheduled from 5 to 7:30, but I just got to get
Okay.
confirmation on it. Yeah, I'm gonna do
Okay.
that.
That covers it. Yeah. Okay, so we'll look at maybe the key is to make sure that if we decide to do it on Wednesday, that we do some blasts or something so people are fully informed. So maybe they won't, we won't have that same degree of overflow at the B list speak to council, because that's a part of what we were trying to get to. That, and we can still stay and listen, but I think people want to, if we made it clear that we were dedicating that particular forum to the issues regarding the Pruitt incident and the response to it and all of that, then maybe they would come on, contribute on Wednesday.
Madam President,
Yeah.
excuse me. I just got off the phone with Mr. Johnson, and he did confirm that meeting is still scheduled for that date.
Okay.
Yeah, Madam President, I was just going to say I agree that because of this topic is so important, it absolutely should be a separate standalone meeting. So, and I can make myself flexible, whatever the will of the group is, Monday or Wednesday or Thursday or whatever works for the group.
Okay. All right. So it's looking like we won't be able to do Monday, and we're going to try to tighten it down for Wednesday.
I'm available Wednesday.
And get.
Hey, I have a question on this one.
Yes.
Instead of it just being a city council thing, what about if we get, the mayor involved as well? Because I think the people want to see that, I think they believe we are trying to do what we can do. I think they want to see the mayor. I think they want to talk directly to her as well.
That's not our job. Our job is our job. And what we are going to do is to listen to them as council members.
Right.
And the mayor can have a hearing, and I'm sure she probably will. But we want to hear from them as council members. I mean, that's just my sentiment about that.
No, absolutely. I agree.
Okay. Okay.
Madam President, I'm sorry to go back to something that was said. That was said earlier. I keep having these technology problems. I'm in serious need of green light in my neighborhood because I'm surrounded by trees and I just cannot deal with this. But
wow.
Council Vice President Lightfoot was saying something that I really agree with, and I want to make sure that I didn't lose it. He was talking about the mental health conversation. So my question was, do we have a timeline on the low-hanging fruit or items related to mental health that we can move on now? And when I say now, I mean like within a month or less, as it relates to police response as it relates to mental health, or even beefing up the current mental health services. Obviously, knowing that other changes may need to be made, but are there immediate things that we could move on within the month?
Yes, and so what I did is I told you guys about the idea of moving fast hit victims assistance over to DRIS and having more and re-looking at how that responds, potentially adding some more bodies to that, because they have licensed social workers. That it's the exact same thing that people who have already have relationships within our community that work in these spaces. But let's get them out of RPD. Nobody wants to go there right now, okay, other than to protest, right? And so let's bring them out of there, bring them into DRIS. I think Commissioner Torres is capable to be able to outfit them with the necessary things. We can have some conversations with them as a council. I asked the mayor to look at that. She, as you've seen, she's committed to that. And so I think that's something we can do very quickly and have a major impact on, and you got to remember, we have the mobile trauma unit that we have. We have the new comprehensive coordinator, homicide response coordinator. We've beefed up pathways to peace, and we've changed and restructured that over last year. And then you look, we have FACET and victims all in the same one roof, right? That across from the Sibley building, you know, across from the bus station terminal where they are now, and which is located where all of our citizens can get to it, right? And it's a friendly, safe facility, you know, visually. And I think that those are areas with the help of council and the direction of us and oversight. And then we would have better oversight in real time. We could real time track this ourselves and see the impact and or not that's having, and then be ready to pivot if the race commission comes and say they want to have a joint thing between county and city. We can make that happen as well too.
Right,
So
but I think the focus of the question was when. Like, are we talking a month
happening.
or 2 months? Huh?
No, like that's like this week. You know, like this, that's like now, like right now.
Okay, so that is moving forward right now.
Yes.
Okay.
Willie, is that something that we would be able to talk about? You know, I'm sure the community wants to know exactly what we're doing and what is being done
Sure.
by to have like a list of the actions that were taken.
Sure.
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be helpful.
So the thing is, I presented it as an idea, and the mayor liked it. So yeah. I didn't realize she was going to move as quickly, but she did. So now I got to backtrack because I wanted the council to have some conversation around it, and we didn't have that. So and I appreciate you guys leeway on that, because you know that things are happening very quickly, and so you know we're moving things are moving very quickly. So what I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen, is that we included a list of things that we wanted, right, or a list of things that we presented to administration. This becomes a part of that list, and we say now that you made that announcement about FACET, we would like to explore what does that look like, and then we have Commissioner Torres can come in or respond to that and give us exactly what we're asking for, Mary.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for bringing that back up, but I just had that question, and I think
certainly,
and I think that it will help. Will help me in terms of a further conversation with the commissioner on, you know, her vision and how she's going to manage all that with the addition that's all there. So that's great. Thanks.
Can I know that we're already kind of down this road. It's been announced that, you know, FACET will go under DRYS, but I just want to back it up a little bit. In other cities, they have proposed a new Department of Public Safety where, you know, police and fire and, you know, that could house pathways and the homicide response team and FACET. And it's another layer between the mayor and the chief as well to maybe have a overarching policy in how we approach public safety in the community. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, I've looked at it, Mary, and I've also, you know, I was working hard because, you know, we have different offices, and other cities also have the Office of Gun Prevention.
Exactly.
You know, they also have, you know, but let's face it, we're in the COVID. We have limited resources. I'm not making excuses. I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just
maybe
saying
we'll do this now and then maybe later if that's
I think that the race commission will potentially, those things may come out of there. You know, and those comments should be expressed in that space, I think, because I think that's more of a long-term solution.
Got it.
So we're talking on two levels. One is immediate response and the other is long-term restructuring. And those are the parallel roads that you talked about earlier.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. We sent through the email, the list of additional questions and things we wanted covered to the mayor. We sent that the other day, and I'm really confused what day it is and date and all of that because things are just moving fast. But whatever day it was, we sent it over, and the mayor is prepared to respond to that. And one of the items on that list was our desire for a regular briefing. We talked about daily, but we can determine how frequently it is depending on where we are. But we will begin today, I believe today at 3 o'clock. And we can then sort of solidify our path forward, on that. So we had, it's not a hearing, it's a briefing, all right?
Thank you, Madam President, because I was in the barber shop today, and the guys in the shop said, "Oh, so you guys have a hearing for the mayor? Y'all gonna be having a hearing today?" I go, "No, no, 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 no. This is not a hearing."
It's a briefing. A lot of things are moving quickly, and especially like with the protests and things that occur. And we want to know what happened. What was the response? What was the reaction? What are the kinds of things are popping off in the community? What are we doing? Those things are happening on a daily basis. That's like a briefing. So we want to know. Yes.
I just want to say this too, because it's the truth, right? So when we were having these conversations, because I brought that up in our last meeting about these briefings, I asked council would they consider that be helpful. When I just want to say for the record, because when I brought it to attention as an idea, because I was shooting ideas around as chairman, right, to the mayor, she wanted to do daily briefings. So I just want people to understand that she was not running from this. I was trying to, maybe I said maybe weekly, maybe she said no, it should be daily. So I just want people to understand that that was her idea, actually, to brief us on a daily basis.
President Scott, can I ask a clarifying question here?
Yes, of course.
So specifically, this briefing is not about what happened between March 23rd and September 2nd.
No, we're going to have hearings on that.
This is specifically about what happened September 2nd through now, but
yes,
really related to, if we're going to do this regularly, what happened in the previous 24 hours.
Yes, yes. So think of the COVID briefings that we were doing, that were happening every day with the governor and the health department and all of that good stuff. It's sort of more along those lines where people are checking in, because the chief would be there, and he would be able to address some rumors or sightings, like the things with the dogs. I really get tight about that. So, we'd be able to ask directly and see what the kinds of reactions and responses were that night.
And as for today, to this first briefing specifically, are we to suppose that the administration is going to start with the answers to the specific questions that we had asked, or should we be going back through those questions if those need to be asked on the record?
I believe that they'll be prepared to. We sent over a list of questions, and I'll have to look at those again. And I know that the mayor had received them, and she said she sent them along to get responses. So I believe that they would be prepared to respond to that. But I want to confirm that and see exactly what direction, because I know that we want to know what happened during those September 2nd and yesterday and all of that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
All right, okay. Okay, regarding the process for a new council member, we've only gotten a couple of applications. The closing date is tomorrow. No, I know it's not. I keep rushing that.
I can update you, President Scott. Councilmember Ortiz resigned on August 27th, 2020, and the 30-day time period to appoint a successor will expire on September 26th, 2020. We sent a letter to Chairwoman Wells of the Democratic Party on August 27th, and I had a follow-up call with her yesterday, and she assures me that the party will be making a recommendation to us by the deadline of the 10th. The 10th, I believe, is Thursday. And we also have put out a call to the community, if folks are interested, to please submit their resumes and cover letters, and I will share them with council when we get them. To date, we have only received 2 applications from community members. So if you know of anyone that is interested and has asked you or sent you something individually, please connect them with staff, because we have only had 2 that have connected with us using the method that we've put out there. After the 10th, we will be able to potentially schedule interviews if needed the week of the 14th through the 18th. and should be able to schedule a special meeting the week of the 21st through the 25th to vote on legislation appointing a new council member.
I just want to note that between the last time BJ and I checked and now, we got a third application submitted.
We got what, please?
A third application
Third.
submitted.
Okay.
So we have 3 now, but we'll have 30 next year.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, no question. No question. Yeah.
Are we sharing those resumes with Chairwoman Wells? Or is it a parallel process?
No, they're taking in the ones that they get, and they'll send over whatever the recommendation is. And then we will determine how many, depending on the number we get, how many or if any we want to interview. And we will make our own selection from then. If you haven't done it by what, the 26th of, is it 26th of September? Then it comes back to me as president. So I know y'all want to get on to that, right? You'll make yourselves available for interviews if we need to do that.
President Scott,
Yes.
who's the third person?
Well, we'll send you all of the names and stuff
Once we get in.
when we get them in.
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Direct names would have to be done probably in executive session because we
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
be able to disclose.
Okay. All righty. And we will need a motion to go into executive session so we can discuss the whole prospect of engaging legal counsel.
I move,
Madam
Madam
President.
President.
I second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, all right. So we will.
I'm sorry, I just want to make sure Hazel, did you capture who made the motion and second?
No, I didn't.
Can we just get that formally for the record?
Who's second? Well, how many? Who's the first, second?
The first one I think was Lachey, or Malik. I think the second was Lachey. I moved it.
Okay. The Vice President moved it. Councilmember Evans, second.
Yeah, I seconded it. Yeah, I seconded it.
Okay. So we'll be entering executive session to discuss engaging legal counsel, and we will come back onto the live stream to adjourn the meeting officially. So give me one moment to end the live stream and get us into executive session.